All right, let's get right into it. So this is from Gizmodo. It says that future DC films will be more focused with less Batman. Off the cuff, I thought that was a bad choice because Batman is their biggest moneymaker, but he's also a huge crutch for DC to spend all of their time focusing on Batman when they don't seem to be able to get it right.
It's gotten very haphazard and confusing for people. So it was at this business conference that Zaslav said the strategy that former Disney CEO Bob Iger put together was all Marvels in one place. You don't wake up and find out that there's a Batman TV show somewhere and a Batman cartoon somewhere else. They all have to relate to each other. There has to be a look and feel for all of it. And so I went on a journey a few months ago of how do I put all of DC in one place? Because I think it's one of the biggest opportunities at this company.
Yep, and he's wondering about that. And the other thing that I thought was interesting is they talked about Gunn. The first thing I noticed is that Gunn is also supposed to direct. But here's the thing. Bob Iger, not Bob Iger. Kevin Feige doesn't direct the movies. He directs the universe as a whole. He's kind of an overseer. How is he going to be able to both direct movies as well as run the entire universe? Like, there's literally not enough time in the day. The other thing that is interesting about that is I imagine that Kevin Feige has his favorite characters, but if you're James Gunn and your favorite characters are the ones you end up directing, are you going to naturally put more of a focus on those characters because they're the ones that you have that you've been guiding?
It sounds more like Zaslav has assigned them what to focus on, and it's not really their choice. So Safran has been assigned to fix Aquaman, whatever that means. Maybe it means figuring out which Batman is going to cameo in Aquaman's sequel.
Well, they've already shot the scenes with Ben Affleck. That was
funny.
But
then they already had scripts written that involved Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah. And not just that, in the Michael Keaton's version of Batman will be in The Flash. Then we have Robert Pattinson's version of Batman.
That's supposed to be a one-off, but is it? Because some people are calling for more movies with Robert Pattinson.
In that one, they said wouldn't be till 2025 at the earliest anyways. So what do you do? So without four Batmans, the other one that they mentioned, there's like, what would the fourth one be? I guess that would be in reference to the animated universe, but also the young Bruce Wayne that was there in the Joker movie.
Oh, yeah. I barely remembered that.
So what's interesting is that I think Pattinson is probably the more universally liked right now because people tended to be happier with that portrayal, with that character. But I would say that Ben Affleck's version of Batman fits more tonally to the connected universe, meaning that the grittier and much, much more serious tone of the Batman doesn't really fit tonally with the way that they're doing the rest of their movies, as we saw with Black Adam. That wasn't the most serious of movies, even as he's off like taking people out left and right. But maybe the next best thing is just recast him. I know you want to keep on this train that you've built up all these movies, but I think it's time to recast.
It doesn't make sense to bring back Robert Pattinson as the premier Batman for going forward the next 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Since they're trying to copy the Marvel model, I don't know if that's a good idea, but since that's the strategy they're going for, they're trying to write this DC Bible for the next decade of the whole slate of scheduled movies and films that all have this connected universe. The Robert Pattinson Batman movie was not part of a connected universe.
No, it wasn't.
So that wouldn't be sticking to why he originally played that role.
Still easy enough to reincorporate. I mean, they can use literally the Flash and Flashpoint, and any of those storylines could be used to just, oh, look, whoops, magic. Now he exists in this universe. But tonally, that doesn't fit, right? Then you take Robert Pattinson in the very serious tone of the Batman, and you throw it in there with Peacemaker and Aquaman and all these other characters that are far, far more serious. And as much as I enjoyed the Robert Pattinson portrayal of Batman, I didn't like that movie a whole lot. I thought it was too long. I didn't think it was Matt Reeves' best work. I know a lot of people enjoyed that film. It wasn't my personal favorite of them. And I don't really think they need to do Ben Affleck outside of those cameos either. Maybe it's time to just go ahead and recast, though I don't know who you get to do that. And I think what a lot of this does is proves that there is a certain amount of confusion with a lot of this stuff. It
seems like the only option they have in mind is to imitate Marvel, And you can see that there are pitfalls in that because people are already fatigued with Marvel.
Yep.
Why would they want to follow that model that they see crashing and burning before our eyes?
I don't even think they should.
And
be doing TV
eventually,
shows.
I see Marvel running itself into the ground. Eventually, they will wring out that sponge. There will be no more money left to be made. They'll have ruined the franchise. And then eventually a larger corporation is going to come along, scoop them up, and recycle the whole thing all over again. That's what I see coming for Marvel. So
larger than Disney.
DC needs to pick their own direction.
Larger than Disney? Who's gonna?
I mean, Disney is going to want to pass them off at that point.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I think there's too much money to
That's
be made
the
in
direction
toys.
I see Marvel going.
I think there's too much money to be made in toys and merch and rides and stuff that can be incorporated into the non-film and motion picture version of Disney for them to sell that off at any point. I think they hold on to them. Like, even if the movies become even more subpar, there's so much money to be made in clothes and for like kids' clothes and stuff at the parks and the theme parks. There's way too much money there. I don't think it's all about corporate synergy. That's what they want. They want corporate synergy.
Yikes.
What is it? I saw when Mary says I have poor not you, Mary. Jared says, Brett, you have poor taste. Well, you know what? That is
why are they saying that?
I think they're saying because I didn't like
Matt
the Batman.
Reeves?
Because I didn't like the Matt Reeves Batman movie. It wasn't that I didn't like the movie as a whole. I thought it was too long, and I thought the ending was just too drawn out. But again, that's to each their own. That's the way it is. But again, I didn't like any of the. It's not like I really enjoyed any of the any of the Ben Affleck versions. I don't think that they ever hit any of those out of the park at all. I think they've all been substandard. And one thing DC is constantly doing is jumping the gun and trying to release stuff too quickly. The best thing they could do right now is to reset. And I don't think they're going to do that because when you now have a connected universe, everything is all of these tendrils that are all connected tenuously, and they don't know what pieces to cut away, what pieces to hold on to. We don't want Henry Cavill. Oh, yes, no, we do want Henry Cavill. Do we want Aquaman? We want Aquaman. We like Aquaman. Ezra Miller, he's over there talking to kids creepily. What do we do with him? Like, there's just too many moving parts, and that's the problem I have with it. As much as I didn't prefer the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, I would prefer that approach, meaning tell singular stories and worry about a connected universe later.
None of those PR concerns or conflicting interests, moving parts would even matter if they decided to move away from this connected universe model. My gut feeling is that I dislike the connected universe idea. Yeah. I don't want them to go in that direction.
I didn't think they needed to. From the beginning, I thought
you don't need to do that in order to make a ton of money.
Smaller budgets, less risky on your investment, and hire better story writers.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
I don't know why they want to be Marvel so bad. It's not going to be good for them.
I suppose the idea is that there's more money to be made off platform with connected universe and stuff like that.
With TV series on HBO Max?
Well, not just that, but a recognizable Batman that can be sold as toys, to kids.
They don't have that already, you think?
Well, I'm just saying, if you start making one-offs, then kids, it's which version of the Batman are you going to buy? And then there's branding concerns, all those things. There's just...
I don't know if kids even care.
Porco Rosso forever says Pfizer could buy Marvel. Yes, remember they did that comic. They did they did the weird propaganda comic.
Merger incoming.
Yes. Quiet Anari says, I miss Silly Batman. I don't want Silly Batman back. I think that the Bale movies, I think those films, the Christian Bale ones, were a good middle ground between not the most serious movies of all time, but still took itself seriously.
I wouldn't know. I'm not an expert.
Okay, so it's Johnny Derp says, would love to have an Adam West era Batman homage complete with Bam on the screen. Yes, if they had the graphics on the screen, say Bam, pow.
Do you want to talk about this lawsuit then?
Yeah.
So Chris Wozniak has just started a civil suit against Warner Brothers because he thinks Matt Reeves developed his screenplay for the Batman based on a story that he pitched in 1990. And he has a Twitter account called Batman Gate.
It's so funny because it's like it's not. When this originally came out, we were going to cover it, and I just decided not to because I don't think there's actually anything to this lawsuit. I think.
Do you think he's clout chasing and trying to get attention on his new graphic novel?
No, because this has been going on for months, and if he's taking it to court, he's spending money on it.
Well, actually, I think he's crowdfunding his legal fees.
Yeah, well, he had like 1 donation or 2 donations. Like, I kind of feel bad for the guy. I don't know if he actually buys that they're disconnected, but there's so much different between the stories that it's kind of silly. Well, he
says that, the theme of the Riddler, I guess he says that Matt Reeves took the plot point of the Riddler, like cursing Gotham with a plague and twisted that into a biblical flood plot point, but it's still copyright infringement.
Yeah.
So why exactly, I don't know, because that is essentially changing what it was.
It's really funny. Here's the plot that he has, and then the Batman 2022. This is from the original post some months ago. The reason it's being brought up now is because he just filed a lawsuit. He just filed the lawsuit in federal court to do this. So it says Batman at the end of his career. That was Wozniak's plot. This one, the Batman is Batman at the beginning of his career, and then the other one says commune is Riddler's surrogate family, and then the other one says orphanage is Riddler's surrogate family. Armageddon for everyone in the world. Judgment Day for everyone in Gotham. The other ones were really funny ones. Like it's like Gotham is a crap hole with like corrupt police, which is like every Batman project ever. The police are always corrupt, right. And Gotham is always crappy.
So Chris Wozniak thinks that he created that idea.
Apparently, enough so that he could sue. And
does he have the right to sue for the themes that were in The Dark Knight?
Apparently not. But he's suing for he's looking to raise on his Indiegogo $3 million. Like, what? That's bonkers.
So he's trying to, I feel, latch on to a movement of, people supporting independent creators in the comic book space.
Yep.
When he's not actually creating anything, he's just claiming that he was, bereaved somehow.
Yep.
And doesn't have the evidence to support that. He's saying it would really be great if some of the public figures involved in this Batman film were to speak up on my behalf, because there needs to be more promotion of
he also says he said one of the
my cause.
Yeah, one of the other scenes that he says was similar was like he had a scene where Barbara Gordon gets blown up by a bomb, and in their movie Alfred got blown up with a bomb. I'm like, so
anyone getting blown up with a bomb is stolen from my plot.
Yes, they took it from that.
Maybe he's just butthurt that they never developed his plot into a film back when he pitched it.
Yep. So it says
he said, I was not credited anywhere. I was not paid anything. And in case you're wondering, that's not supposed to happen. So here I am asking Batman fans around the world to stop Hollywood from steamrolling yet another comic creator. I got absolutely nothing. That is not justice.
Yeah, he's very much trying to latch on to the fact that there are movements of people that do want to support independent creators that they feel have either been wronged by their industries or have...
well, it's generally supporting independent creators because they're creating a product that they believe is superior to the mainstream from big studios. Not because they have some right fight that they're doing on the internet.
He says there's no debating that my plot predates their screenplay, and that people who made this film were in possession of my plot, and there's the Riddler storyline in the film was directly derived from my plot. I don't get that. Like, I don't get that. The theme of the the theme of the Riddler being a serial killer and leaving clues at crime scenes is not new to him. So it just
seems like a grift. He's also tweeting about himself in the third person, which is weird. He tweeted, Matt Reeves needs to explain to press why unique, specific rewrites of Chris Wozniak's plot are in the Batman film. Proof his screenplay is a knockoff.
Is that to make his name searchable?
I guess.
Like, I don't know why else you would do that otherwise. Like, that, it's really creepy and kind of funny.
It's like he's made this war he's waging against Matt Reeves his entire online identity instead of just promoting his new work.
Maybe I'll start talking in the third person here on the show. Brett is here to start Pop Culture Crisis.
That would be really creepy.
She's like, I'm quitting. So beyond that, I don't.
The tech
think
issues finally got him.
Yeah, they finally driven me to the edge, guys.
He's
I
in the
apologize. I'm going to need to go to Arkham Asylum. Also, I want to point out that Walter Hamada has got his next job after DC. He is moving on to a multi-year production deal with Paramount Studios, in which he's going to be developing and releasing several mid to low tier budget horror films, which I actually think, now this is just my opinion, given his credit history, far more in his wheelhouse, being somebody that was part of a lot of horror movies like the Conjuring series, The Nun.
He was also part of It.
Yes.
That was really successful.
And so he has a history within the world of horror. Annabelle, like that seems to be his wheelhouse, his forte. And he talks about the joy of wanting to help creators. He had something really specific in here that I really liked. He says, I'm thrilled to collaborate with Paramount Pictures with the singular goal of creating exceptional movies in the horror genre. Over the course of my career, nothing has been more gratifying than discovering emerging first-time filmmakers and writers and unleashing their brilliance in the studio setting. That's very different from like a Marvel or a DC, where with Marvel, when they hire you, you know, they're a Marvel movie director is a lot more like a network television director. The person who's really guiding the ship on a network television show is the showrunner. He's the one that's doing the majority of the heavy lifting as far as where the story is going. The director is there to shepherd each episode, get it through to the next one so that the next director can work on the next one. So when he's at DC, when they're on these big budget projects, he's not really going to help shepherd any young director into directing their first, brilliant motion picture with their own ideas. He's directing something that's part of a bigger project. Like Kevin Feige.
Usually sequels to larger franchises. But I think mid-level budget horror films have the potential to at least in part remedy the wokeness issue in the box office right now.
Financially they do.
But yes, because they make a lot of money and they don't take a lot of money to make.
Nope.
And I don't think that they have as much social capital as superhero films or just generally like action films, any of the like Olivia Wilde or Steven Spielberg wannabe artsy projects.
There was some pushback to like when they did like Black Christmas, and there was like some feminist horror movies that were coming out for a while.
But those are more like film festival type.
And nobody wants to see
things.
them.
But like think about Smile. Like they did a really good job marketing that, and a lot of people have seen it. It's really successful, and no one's complaining about it. I don't know why that's so hard to accomplish, but it seems unique to the horror genre that they're able to do that with no strings attached.
They also point out in here that like he was part of like some of DC's bigger hits, like The Batman and Wonder Woman and Joker. But he was also part of misses like Wonder Woman 1984 and The Suicide Squad, which as much as I love that movie, didn't make any money at the box office.
He's also the champion of Black Superman at DC. So
I
don't know if he always knows what appeals to the mainstream audience.
Despite being called a racist by Ray Fisher.
Oh, yeah. Like, I forgot about that. But,
remember? He's like, you're a racist. He's like, I want to make Black Superman movies. What are you talking about? You can't say that.
I'm on no one's side in that situation.
We pick no winners here. Or we pick no victors. So also, I want to point out that one thing that's also going to come into question is that we are going to have to wonder whether we will get Superman and Lois Season 3. They already canceled Stargirl, which a lot of people loved. And that was a project that, especially Jeff Johns, is particularly important to him because the character is based on his sister, who had died at a very young age. But we asked the other week, I asked on the show, I said, what is a good example recently of a show with good actual family values? And I should have mentioned this one, like the first 2 seasons of Superman and Lois. That's
interesting because the CW is notoriously everything has to be gay, everything has to be trendy,
and that's why it was funny,
subversive in that way. So it's out of place on its own, network.
And they lost the actor that played Jonathan Kent in the in the show. He had to go and he went to a mental health facility, just said that acting wasn't good for him right now. So I guess they were going to recast that character, but now having a third season is in doubt. And I just don't know why they wouldn't, since it was already, I believe the funding for the show was originally done through HBO Max, which is why it looked like a higher budget show compared to the other shows that were on the CW. But it doesn't really matter because the CW is owned by Nexstar Media now, and they're moving very quickly away from scripted content into reality TV type realms and stuff like that.
Home flipping?
Yeah. And
cupcake baking?
Hey, man, everybody wants to put on something where they don't have to be anxious.
There's a place 24/7. For that.
There is. And they point out that for them, they've already put a hold on, they're not creating new seasons of the shows that are already there. They are not doing beyond, they've only ordered the first 13 episodes of that Winchester show, the Supernatural spinoff. As well as they're putting a hold on the Walker Texas Ranger spinoff, which I can't believe I can even say that there's a Walker Texas Ranger show on the CW, but it is what it is. So it's kind of all encompassing. I would rather they just move it over to HBO Max and keep it going, but it goes to the same question. Do they want to have 4 versions of Superman? They've always seemed more willing to put multiple versions of Superman on screen than Batman.
Why is that?
Batman is too profitable. What I was always told is that Batman's too profitable to put him on TV. That it's not worth the return on the investment for diluting the character. You can put Bruce Wayne on TV, but they weren't putting Batman on network TV. Obviously, after Batman 1966 or whatever, Adam West Batman. So we'll see where that goes. I do hope that they can come through this, but it's when I think of all this, I posted a video the other day where a guy goes, "Hi, James Gunn. Here's all the things they want you to do for when you take over DC Studios," and it's a 3-minute video where they list all the problems he has to solve, and I got a migraine just thinking about it as a joke, let alone actual problems that James Gunn has to figure out. And he's got his own stuff and issues going on with The Rock, who's going to throw his weight around in Hollywood. The Rock is going to want his character to be front and center, as we know. And there's going to be a myriad of things that they have to solve if they're going to get there. But it's just too confusing. And I think it turns off the average viewer when you can't seem to get more than one good movie in a row anyways. When was the last time they had back-to-back movies that were good?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously,
I guess subjectivity aside.
Subjectivity aside. Brett suddenly says subjectivity aside.
I'm just
never
saying,
thought I would see the day.
I don't push the subjectivity aside, but I'm just saying ones that were extremely financially successful back to back. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.